Okay, so the wiring job I done, or the testing and stuff I done in the last video on the system with the 2 ports, I've had a recall on that. The lady phoned me to say that the pump was on, or she'd phoned me to say she could hear the boiler was on, but the flame wasn't on according to the lady, but the pump was running and it didn't stop even though everything was turned off. So I've loaded up my scooter. It's Saturday morning. I've got some basics here. A multimeter, my tool roll. In this little pouch here is safety stuff, caps, discs, pellets, matches, a lighter. But basically I don't need too much here because I know what I'm going into. I know that the system, I know there's something electrically wrong with this system that's causing this boiler to run, or the pump to run at least. Now the pump should be controlled via the boiler. So if the pump is running, that boiler should be firing. So I'm going to go and find out what's going on, and I will film it from the moment I get in there. So I just remembered you guys, and I put this in here. I've thought something that might be helpful is that the thought process, the thing that's going on in my head when I know I'm going to this job. So I know of the 4 2 ports in this property. I freed off 2 of them last time, changed the synchro motor and unbent a lever in one of them, and they all seem to work. They seemed to work fine when I was there. Now it could be one of them 2 ports is jammed again. I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, I'll bring one with me just in case. And that'll just be for the actuator. If I had an actuator, I'd bring that by itself, but I don't. So my other thought process is this boiler has its own pump overrun in it, so it controls the pump itself. So that means if that pump's running, the boiler's telling it to, if it's wired correctly. I didn't check that last time, but I will this time. So if that pump's running, the boiler's telling it to. Now on the Glowworm Ultimate, there's two ways it controls that pump overrun. It either does it on temperature, so it has a separate pump overrun stat, or it does it through the PCB. So I'm sure most of you are aware there's 2 types of PCB on that boiler. One is a 1-wire PCB, that's 1 fuse PCB, and the other is a 2 fuse PCB. So the 1 fuse PCB is the rarer one, and that uses a mechanical pump overrun stat, whereas the 2 fuse PCB does it electronically within the circuit board. So what that means is both versions of that will have a permanent live to the boiler so that it can control the pump. If something fails on that boiler, that permanent live can be applied to the pump and the switch live. So there'll be no external controls telling it to work. However, you will still get 240 volts on the orange sometimes because of that. So the only definitive test for that is to pull all the oranges out while it's in the fault condition and check it with a multimeter. But that means, I don't even know if I should say that, but that's what it means. That's the easy way to test it. So I'm going to go there now on the scooter because it's Saturday and it's just going to be easier. And once I get there, we'll see what we find. Alright, so I'm back here again. Scooter's parked, locked. This is what I'm bringing into the job. Let's go see what's wrong with it. Okay, so here we are, we're back here. And the timer is on at the moment. The pump is running. The boiler isn't at the sec. Let me see if it will. No. So although the pump's running, the boiler isn't. closed, 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 closed. So all the valves are closed. So let's check again to switch side to the boiler. Although this is on until 10, all the valves are closed, therefore the cylinder is probably hot enough, and it is. So the cylinder is probably off on the stat. The pump is continuing to run more than likely because there's a problem with the board. So let me open up the cover and see if we've got power on the orange first and foremost. Okay, so again, to find the neutral, I'm going to find the blues for the valves, which are all in here. So there's the neutral, and now here's the orange, and oh, my hand's in the way a bit there. Let me try and do it from this side. Nothing. And to prove this works, because although look, I've got nothing, let's prove it works. Simply go on the greys. 240. Okay, so it's not the valves causing this issue. The valves were causing an issue when I was first here, which is dealt with, and this issue that we're seeing now with the pump constantly running is not caused by the valves, because there's nothing sending demand to that boiler. So what I'm going to do is prove the boiler's wired correctly by the wire that goes in with the oranges up here, there. You can't even see that, right? That wire there goes in with the oranges. I'm going to test that up at the circuit board on the boiler. I'll check that it goes into the right place. But more than likely the problem on this is the board or the pump over on stat. Now this is all live. We have to be very careful now. I need to get into all of that. I'm just looking to make sure there's no wires that are going to cause me any problems. That are going to get kinked or anything. Doesn't look like there are. I should be able to pull that down and turn it around like that. Okay, so if we look here, we have switch live there, which is that wire there, which does appear to be the same wire. So if you look at this, see it's a funny powdery brown. And if we get it up here, see it's a funny powdery brown. So that probably is the correct wiring with switch live. Now I'm having a look at the circuit board, and this circuit board only has one fuse on it in there. And now if you look at this boiler stat, which is this bit here, it has more than 2 connections. So as you see, there's a yellow connection there that goes onto the overheat stat, down there. There's another yellow connection there that goes onto the circuit board. There's a red, brown and a purple. Now one of them is going to go in with the pump live, and it looks to me like it's the purple, and it is. Let's follow that up. It's that purple wire, sorry I'm thinking about that purple wire there, goes into that brown there, which goes into the bottom cable going in, which is the white there. And that white cable, we follow it round, goes up to the pump. So the problem with this is the combined boiler stat and pump overrun stat has failed. Now this pump wasn't constantly running last time I was here. You see the pump is constantly running, there's no demand to the boiler, but the boiler is causing that issue. And it's a one wire PCB, so sorry, a one fuse PCB, and the one fuse PCB means that it has a combined pump overrun and boiler thermostat, and the pump overrun control bit has just failed. As easy as that. Need to order that up. Okay, so one last thing I'm going to do to confirm all of that. I've got my multimeter on AC voltage. Well, that's really bad, that shot, because that's in the neutral. Let me turn that a bit, you see that? That's in the neutral there. And the switch live that turns the boiler on and off, that I'm sure I know what it is, but I'm going to check it. And on that I have no voltage. And the permanent live, which is here, I've got 240 volts. And then the last thing to check is the pump live, which has that purple wire, and it's 200. Last thing to check is the pump live. It's 240 volts. See if I can spin all that round. There you go. So that's the pump live there. You can't see it, it says P for pump under here. P for pump. So that proves that the only power coming into this boiler is the permanent live. From that permanent live, the thing that then controls the pump is the pump overrun, or combined pump overrun and boiler stat, which has failed and is constantly sending power to the pump. Okay, just so you know, when you're putting these back together, before you push that up, you need to have a good look in there and make sure none of the cables are going to get caught. So before I'd done this, the earth was hanging over the metal cage and would have got caught. So I've sorted that out. So will it be fixed? Hopefully it will. I'm going there tomorrow. I'll upload the video. Thanks for watching, guys.